Quick look at the grid here for round 2 of the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series PASS2, and it is Brett Barker, my apologies, takes out pole position with Peter Hunter next to him. Then it's Scotty Rankin and Nathan Verney off row 2 with Sebastian Vandel and Gordon Smith off row 3. Then it's Hendrik Krasinga with Blake Urquhart off row 4, Matty Stewart and John Baldwin off row 5. Then it's Michael Rosenblatt and Andrew Goldman off row 6. As we flip over the page, it's going to be Nick Warnest and Shane Mahoney off 7. Ben Pollock and Sam Lehman off 8. In fact, I don't believe Sam will be running, so it would be Rodney Hobbs and Adam Whalen off row 9. Nick Buxton and Jason Dunn off row 10. And then we do have a couple of other drivers in there just observing. So apologies if you aren't racing.
As we go green here at Sebring for the second PASS2. The first one with GT cars though, and Brett Barker does get away very well with Scotty Rankin just behind him, moving his way up into P2.
Yeah, so we'll just keep a static camera look here and just make sure everyone gets through turn 1.
Scotty Rankin goes, manages to save the car. Just a little bit of oversteer on the exit. The back end steps out, gets tagged by, I think it was Peter Hunter there. But he's managed to get the car going back straight again, so somehow managed to save that one. That could have been a really big accident.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time to recover with the damage mineral. There's a couple down there again, out on the inside as well. I think that might have been Ben Pollock who went off on the infield there at turn 3. So there's a few drivers just learning early about the cold tyres here on this mixed surface that Sebring provides us. It's one of the challenges, and it's already caught a couple of drivers out early, but with 30 minutes of racing, one stop required, there's plenty of time to get done what you need to get done and potentially get back up into a fight for position.
Yeah, Ben Pollock and Rodney Hobbs both doing the same thing. It was almost like they were mirroring each other. They both just got a huge amount of oversteer out of nowhere. Cold tyres, as you said, catching both of those drivers out. I think the second could have just been in slight avoidance of the accident. But unfortunately, both cars getting caught out with that one as we are coming round to almost finish our first lap. It is a fairly big old lap around Sebring, of course. It's one of those tracks that you think isn't that long when you look at it on paper, and then you realise it's almost 6 kilometres in length. It is a huge place. Absolute fantastic track, and you do get some great racing here. Big thing is going to be on the fuel stops as well, strategy-wise. So will we see some people coming in early on the first lap to try and get themselves out of traffic to see if they can make it to the end?
Yeah, the old Jeff Connell strategy. See who can run the longest. But of course, they will be able to take on an uncapped amount of fuel on the refuel. So someone I think I heard just struggling in the background there.
Accident in the final corner there.
Looks like Matt Stewart, I think, might have gone around.
I think that's right. No, sorry, it was Matt Stewart. He's gone around in the final corner, just lost the tail as he was trying to get underneath the 135 of
John Baldwin there.
John Baldwin, and they just tag each other and around he goes. Nathan Verney just avoiding that incident there. So Verney just getting very lucky to avoid that accident. But that is some damage that's going to be jumping in, getting the fuel, getting a quick repair done.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have access to one quick repair here, the drivers each. So he will absolutely capitalise on that quick repair and get back out there as well. Let's just see here, Jason Dunn also having an issue. Just trying to catch onto that one as he recovers the McLaren. Let's just jump back quickly and have a look at this one. I think he might have grabbed the curb, which he did warn against in the preamble to the show. No, in fact, he's gone the other way. He's just grabbed a little bit too much of the dirt on the outside of the track there, and fairly innocent there in the Ram-sponsored entry. Just gets that one back on board and back on track, so he will fight to live another day in an undamaged McLaren.
Yeah, that's the important thing, undamaged. It means you can get a bit of a recovery drive going, start working your way up through the field. There are a few damaged cars out there, quite a few cars with some bent noses. So a few of those first laps incidents catching a couple of people out. Meanwhile, up the front, Brett Barker is doing a great job against Sebastian Vardell, keeping Seb off his tail. And this place has been quite kind to Sebs in the past. So he's going to be hoping, Vardell that is, that again, a Seb can be on the top spot.
Yeah, absolutely. He certainly will be. A good pick up there. The good thing so far as well to see, I'm loving having the McLaren back in the series, the Audi joining it as well. The mix, obviously last season we were restricted to 3 makes, and this season we've got a much more open allotment of cars with the new Ferrari joining the mix in amongst the Porsche returning, McLaren, Audi, and we've also got the Mercedes and the Beamer, so a good assortment of cars. We've only got surprisingly 1 Beamer in PASS2 and 1 Mercedes. Everyone else looking for the Audi, Ferrari, Porsche or Lamborghini. So we'll see if any of those drivers can get an upset. Apparently in the downforce tonight, Carl, a couple of it felt like there was some favouritism towards 2 of the makes, neither of which are leading.
Well, if it was a Porsche, then that's just because it's Sebring and it's a Porsche. I mean, it's just natural for a Porsche to do well at Sebring. That's just its natural hunting ground.
It's habitat.
Yeah, that's it. It's as if it was purpose built for them. They do like it around here. Ferraris quite like the place too. So at the moment, Sebastian Vardell is looking to try and get a Ferrari up there with Blake Urquhart as well. So the Ferraris, Gordon Smith as well in 4th, I should say. So at the moment we've got a Lamborghini in the lead. Not had a great history here at Sebring, but these things can change. Statistics do not mean that you're going to lose a race just because you're in a certain make of car, and we know that Lamborghini has got some legs on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And not hamstrung by the weight penalties that we saw last season. Of course, the penalties or the success penalties that these cars incur each week and are adjusted each week this year or this season being done by a penalty to the power of the vehicle. So that it didn't alter the way the car handled throughout the season. So Lamborghini last season around, because of its success, basically was carrying a Lamborghini tractor by the end of the season in additional ballast, and it just changed the way the car drove. So the administrators changing that up for this season, which is good to see, as we're just seeing here Varnell just sticking a nose out there, seeing if he could get anything done. Brett Barkley wasn't quite far enough up, even in the draft, looking to have another look here. He's got to run on. He's going to go down underneath on the brakes, and he's going to get the move done. So Vardell, nice move there, very cleanly done. Down into turn 2 and moves himself up into P1.
Very nice move indeed. So very well worked there, and getting himself the lead of the race. And look, it's going to be a good battle tonight. This place breeds fighting. It's a very flat track, of course. It's a former airfield, but that means you get some really good exits. You don't have to worry about the course going up and down. It's all about keeping the eye on the corners. If you get that corner exit right, there are so many fast sections of this track you can get a really good tow and make the person in front of you pay. Same is for those corners, because there are so many tricky corner sets here. There are so many corners that go into each other. If you make one mistake, you're going to lose yourself so much time through those sections. So there is a train forming up at the moment, and they are looking to try and get through. And got to say, at the moment, like Hart might just be going a little bit slower than the guys behind him want to be. Maybe just doing a little bit of fuel saving, just trying to get a little bit longer in the stint, whereas the others are just trying to go a little bit faster. You can see Peter Hunter has got that damage to the front of that Porsche. It doesn't look very Porsche-like with that front end bent in like that, but it is still going well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got caught up, unfortunately, in that early incident in the race. We're 10 minutes through, a third of the way through the race so far. Then now 2 people jump in through pit lane. My apologies, 4 people jump in through pit lane. First of whom is Matt Stewart back in P10 at the moment. So we're waiting to see how they come out. Looks like Shane Maloney might have had an issue there. And he has gone into pit lane, so he'll be getting his fast repair done, and we'll get back out with his stop. But at the moment, it is Sebastian Vettel who is coming under pressure still now from Brett Barker. Of course, Vettel did take the lead from Barker a few laps ago now. So he's just maintaining that gap. It's just under half a second here between the two. And who is going to take out this race? Well, a third of the way through as Hunter and Urquhart just start changing places behind them as well. There's just a jump about there. See that going on in the background. I want to cover as much of this as we can. But it is Vardell still leading from Barker. Urquhart here under pressure from Peter Hunter. That damage on the front of the Porsche. Obviously not upsetting it too much, particularly while he's in the draft. Might have pay a small impact on the straights once he does get up and going. If he does manage to get in front of Urquhart, that will remain to be seen.
Really pushing it. They're so close to each other as they go through 15 and 16 through the Le Mans corners. Back onto the Holland straight. Really close action there. That Porsche could not get any closer if it tried for Peter Hunter. Really good driving there from all of these guys up at the front.
You can now see that. So that is where he is. Of course, the gap to the race leader is the number 1 on the screen. So the gap not insurmountable, but of course, as Vandel comes into pit lane, we'll stick on board here with Barker and see if he can get it done. Buxton now the only driver not to a pit. I assume he's going to come in this lap. Shouldn't be able to make it too much further. And we're wanting to see whether or not Barker can get it done. The gap between the two at the pit stop was only half a second. So has he managed to make that up with the clean air he's got in front of him? A Lamborghini undamaged. So he's got its full potential available to him as he comes around onto the front straight now. Where is he going to come out? Vandel is on his way out of pit lane as we speak, so this is going to be a close exit here.
Peter Hunter gets the jump in pit lane. It's going to be Peter Hunter and the Porsche coming out. It's going to be so close as they get through the first corner side by side. But Brett Barker does take the lead by the narrowest of margins. Peter Hunter has jumped up to P2 with Sebastian Vandel in P3.
There you go. He's just run deep under brakes there, Barker. So he's run wide. He's had to pull the Lamborghini up. That's opened up the opportunity for Peter Hunter, who, of course, has had his Porsche repaired in that pit stop. They put a new front splitter onto it, and he is back with a fully repaired Porsche to attack for the last 10 minutes of this race. He's looking for a way around. The Lamborghini Barker is wide and he's defending, and you can just see there as well Vandel just trying to get underneath as well with Hunter pushing the point. He knows he's got the pace if he needs it to run at the front here. He's already got past Brett Barker once tonight, so we've got a great battle here between the brands like Lamborghini, Porsche and Ferrari. Who is going to take this out?
It's going to be really close up here at the front. This is great racing we're seeing. We're seeing 3 different manufacturers there as well, which is even more fun. Something, sorry, just the 2 manufacturers, sorry.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
No, Lamborghini,
so.
Porsche
Yeah,
and Ferrari at the front here.
Yes.
Yeah, Lambo, Porsche and Ferrari. So it is the battle. The Italians and the Germans. As they battle away at the front, but Barker doing a good job here defending. Of course, none of them will have taken tyres, so it is down to a battle of driver now. There isn't anyone on fresh rubber. Of course, you might say that Barker had it a little bit his way because he was able to run in without battling anyone for a couple of laps there in the crossover of the pits, and it certainly worked in his favour.
Yeah, very much so. You'd say battle of the Italian and the 2 Germans, maybe.
Well, absolutely. And the other question to answer, of course, as well is how did Peter Hunter make up that time in pit lane? Was it efficiency of his entry, or did he take slightly less fuel than the other 2, and will he make it to the end?
Yeah, so he was stationary for 9.6 seconds, whereas Van Dale was stationary for 13.4. Brett Baker 10.9, but they are battling side by side here through the first set of corners, side by side once again, and the Porsche looks to have it right now. Gonna make the move, still trying just a little bit, possibly Echo touching just there, but makes it through there. Peter Hunter getting at the lead of the race over Brett Barker. Sebastian Vettel just sitting right behind him at the moment in that Ferrari, trying his best to get up back into P2 at the moment. Battle is absolutely on, but what you got to ask is, did Peter Hunter put enough fuel in there? Did he time this right? Did he fuel it perfectly? Or does he have to do a little bit of lift and coasting towards the end just to make it across the line, as Van Dale gets underneath Barker there and makes the move for P2?
Yeah, he got it done pretty cleanly in the end there, just running a little bit wide again, Barker in the Lambo.
Meanwhile, jumping back, John Baldwin, Nathan Verney having a battle. Verney trying to make it down the outside, can't quite make it work this time. I'm sure Braden Martin will be cheering along somewhere. But those two absolutely fighting for position at the moment. Verney in P6 trying to jump up to P5 at the moment and has got pace on Baldwin.
Yeah, so that battle continues. It's looking a little bit further down the list. Matt Stewart and Scotty Rankin, that has settled down a little bit, but at the front the gap has narrowed as well. So the Ferrari of Van Dale and the Porsche Peter Hunter now battling away at the front. Can the Lamborghini do anything? Is Brett Barker going to be able to mount a challenge here? He's going to get the benefit of the draft. Might not get close enough yet, but will the Ferrari be able to do anything? He's having a look. He's having a big look down the inside here. It's going to have a lot more up. Oh, he's run a little bit wide here. That could be to get the turn back. No, it's slowed the Ferrari. He's just slid a little bit there. That's allowed the Lamborghini to close up, and the Porsche with Peter Hunter at the front to open the gap ever so slightly and give himself a little bit of a breather as he goes down into turn one. He won't have to defend here. He can run the line that he wants to run. Just make sure he pulls it up, gets it through the corner, which he does very neatly indeed.
The tiniest kick of dirt there. Perfect line for Hunter. Just absolutely millimetre perfect on that corner. That's great to see. But these guys all racing as well. It's so close to each other. There's absolutely nothing between them, but just the slightest mistake and you're going to lose two positions right now.
Yeah, the pressure is on at the front. Lamborghini looking for a way by. Barker not quite able to find it yet.
And meanwhile, just a little bit further back, John Baldwin has become a little bit of a cork in the bottle in the McLaren at the moment. Nathan Verney just behind him, with Gordon Smith sitting in just behind him. Matt Stewart and Scotty Rankin gaining on this battle. So this one is one to watch out, as one of those cars goes a little bit wide, and that's Adam Whalen just letting them through. Just letting through those cars as they go lap down.
Good driving there from him to be aware of what was going on around him. Yeah, Baldwin here just not able to find a way past him. And you're not faster than the driver in front of you until you get past him. So Baldwin defending well in P5. And Verney's got to have a look around and see if he can find a way through. Otherwise, he's going to be at one eye on the car in front, one eye in the mirror, trying to manage Gordon Smith behind him. He's got to get a good run out of this final corner before the back straight, and I think that's going to be his chance then. Got plenty of run wide room down into the final double apex corner, so it gives you that opportunity to push a little bit harder with a reassurance that you're probably going to be able to get out of it safely if it goes wrong. But immediately Baldwin on the defensive here, but the Audi pulls out. Nathan Varney alongside him. So he's going to have to use that extra room we were talking about here to shove the Audi around the outside if he's going to be able to get it done. He's exposed here. The Ferrari of Gordon Smith tries to go underneath him as he's right out wide. He's going to get a good run. He just avoids the grass, does Verney, so he's going to keep in the drag race here and get him behind John Baldwin. That'll help pull him along and maybe protect that position, but he's got the best line he can have for turn one. It's going to put Smith on the outside. He's going to have to be brave. He gets out into the dirt there, and that is going to cost him. It's going to cost him dearly. It's going to cost him very dearly as he's gone around, clipped the tyre wall there. It was a brave move. Just didn't quite pay off for him.
No, look, that was one of those moments. Just tried to keep it going and just did not work out. Unfortunately, there's a big bump there as you go across, just across the the recovery road, and that's what absolutely threw that Ferrari off centre, and then around and round he goes. So that is a disaster for, absolute disaster for Gordon Smith.
Up the front here, Sebastian Vandel now under pressure from Brett Baker. Peter Hunter's checked out at the front to some extent. He's now broken the draft. He's over a second in front of these pairs, so he should be able to move away here. And at this stage, looks like there will probably only be one more lap to go at the end of this one. So he should get the white flag next time around. So can Brett Baker do anything to repay the favour and get in front of Vandel, who's passed him twice tonight? You want to square that ledger at the most important part of the evening. A good run onto the back straight here for the Lamborghini. Vandel's going to have to go defensive. We've seen before how it was done when we were on board with John Baldwin, who did so successfully against Nathan Verney. You can see the Ferrari doing exactly the same thing here. And Brett Baker just deciding that he wants to live to fight another day at this point in time. So he gets around. We will have one more lap on top of this one. It'll be white flag next time around. So he's got 2 laps to try and get something done here, as Peter Hunter just opens that gap again ever so slightly as we start this lap.
Be the disaster for Peter Hunter if he took on fuel thinking there's only going to be, well, there's only going to be another lap, and if he crossed the line a couple of milliseconds later, he would have only had one more lap to do. So it's an extra lap right now, and this could fall into the hands of Sebastian Vandel, who was stationary the longest. So that could be an interesting one. We'll see how that one runs out, and it looks like Vandel is just easing off a little bit. So just easing off. He's definitely lost pace there. Did they make a bit of a mistake? Or they just battling? No, it just looks like they've just eased off a little bit from Peter Hunter. Just a little bit more than they were before, possibly just to do a little bit of saving, because yeah, I don't think they were expecting this extra lap.
We're on board now with Sebastian Vandel, so we're just going to have a listen. We'll see if he is saving fuel or not. I know, particularly coming up in some of these heavier braking sections. At this stage, he hasn't quite got the luxury of saving fuel either, because of course he's got Brett Baker right behind him. So one who it's going to play out for well is Hunter, who may have slightly under-fueled as well. So with that advantage that he's got, no pressure to defend at this point in time, he is potentially going to be able to help himself out as we head towards the back straight, and we'll then get on to our final lap of this race. Oh, as the Lambo gets loose in the background there, Barker, so that's going to affect his chance on this lap. He's going to be way too far away to do anything about it. So he's going to have to try something on the last lap, if at all.
Last lap special possibly coming up. You can see down the field, though, Verney all over the back of Baldwin at the moment. Absolutely beautiful colours on John Baldwin's car. Not to diminish anything from the locked-on crew's pink, purple and blue, but I'm a fan of the gold and black liveries from the past. Can't quite make it this time around. John Baldwin just sitting that car perfectly in position. So just keeping in a really nice position there and doing a good job of defending.
He's driven a cracking race, John Baldwin. So we're on board here with Verney. He's going to try down the inside, jump out and have a look. Is he going to be able to hold it in there in the Audi? Baldwin confident in his approach into the corner in the McLaren. Just keeps on moving on through there. So he will go another lap here, the final lap of the race, to try and defend his position. Meanwhile, we jump back up to the front, and things have spaced out a little bit now, as Peter Hunter has got some breathing room behind him. Sebastian Vandel coming through with Brett Baker as well. So that is our top 3. As it stands, there is a question mark over these 3 on fuel, particularly on Peter Hunter at the front.
Oh, car's just gone off in front of Peter Hunter. Just manages to skate through, keeps it on the grass. Good job there. As they were getting past the lapped car, just ran a little bit wide and decided to keep it on the grass rather than pull it back on the track. Good idea there.
Yeah, I think that might have been Rodney Hobbs there, so well done, Hobbo, to get that, keep that one on the grass. But it does look like Peter Hunter will be the first GT winner in the PASS2 series. We'll go down in the record books in the number 82 Porsche entry. So he heads down the back straight for the final time. Did Barker get a good enough exit on the corner to do anything in challenging for P2? Doesn't look like he's going to be close enough. He's going to have to hope for a mistake from Vandel into the last corners. As he runs a little bit wide, but nothing too savage there that the Ferrari can't handle. And it will be Peter Hunter taking out the win here in PASS2 at Sebring, round 2.
Meanwhile, jumping back to John Baldwin and Vernie, they are side by side once more. Baldwin keeping the inside there. Vernie can't quite make it round. Will he get the pass here? Gets a good exit. Really trying for it, but nothing Vernie can do right there. Absolutely trying to the end. Great battle. Meanwhile, Scotty Rankin tries to make the move and does.
Matty Stewart.
Gets past Matty Stewart, who runs out of fuel.
Runs out of fuel. So Scotty Rankin pinches a position at the end there. We knew the fuel numbers were going to be close. In fact, I think Peter Hunter may be out of fuel as well because he has already jumped out. So Peter Hunter, Scott Vandel and Brett Barker, your podium for this race tonight. And a fantastically well run race it was. It does look like he might be out of fuel as well. So
good drive from Nick Buxton, making up 8 positions in that race, biggest gainer of the race. So finishing inside, well, in the top 10, so managing to finish in P10 in the end. So well done on Nick Buxton, making up 8 positions in that race.